Halloween night, a time for masks, candy, and laughter. But every so often, behind the costumes, behind the laughter, lurks something real, something waiting. Tonight, I'll share with you true Halloween horror stories, the kind you don't forget. Story 1. The party at Nick's house. I was 22 years old when my best friend Nick threw his legendary Halloween party. Nick was obsessed with the holiday. He built haunted mazes inside his house, covering every wall with chilling decorations. But that night, the horror wasn't fake. Upstairs in his room, me and a few friends heard 2 deafening bangs, then screams, not playful screams, terrified ones. Nick opened the door, froze, then locked it shut. His face was pale. He whispered, "One word, hide." We killed the lights. Nick and Joey hid in the closet. I crawled under the bed with Q. Vinny stuffed himself into a storage trunk. Then came the sound of boots. Heavy, slow, deliberate. They stopped at Nick's door. The doorknob rattled. Then bang, gunshots blasted the lock dot from under the bed. I watched black boots step inside. The man opened the closet. Nick begged for his life. He was dragged downstairs. We stayed frozen as the voices barked orders. By the time it ended, 2 of our friends lay dead in the living room, shot in cold blood. Nick was never the same after that. Less than a year later, the guilt consumed him, and he overdosed. Story 2. The knock at the door. Years later, I had my own house. Halloween night. I was watching horror movies when a knock came at the door. Too late for I ignored it, but the knocking turned to pounding. I opened the door. No one was there. Hours later, at 2 a.m., I woke to knocking again. This time, it wasn't at the front door. It was at my bedroom door. The knob turned, slowly. Someone was trying to get in. Heart racing, I grabbed my phone, connected it to my speakers, and played the sound of a gunshot from YouTube. I shouted, "That was a warning shot. Leave, now." Silence, then footsteps running. My front door slammed open, then shut. When I crept out, the door was wide open. Whoever they were gone. Story 3. The phone calls. When I was 14, I stayed home to hand out candy while my mum took my sister. Trick, dash, or dash treating. The house phone rang, static, breathing, then silence. It rang again. More breathing, then finally, a voice. "I'll be paying you a visit tonight." Half an hour later, the power went out. The front door shook under furious pounding. My heart froze, and then laughter. It was my friend Steve. He admitted to prank calls. But when I asked him to repeat the deep voice, he looked confused. What voice? I never said anything. I just breathed into the phone. Later, we discovered the fuse box wires had been cut. Whoever spoke on the phone wasn't Steve. Story 4. The Masked Man. 1 year. Tri-court treating with friends. We noticed a man in a mask holding a lantern. He didn't speak, just stared, following us from house to house. Eventually, he disappeared, until we turned around, candy bags in hand, and saw him standing in the street, waiting. Later, a family friend spotted him hiding behind a tree, waving children over. He only backed off when threatened with police. Story 5. The Black Jeep. I was 11 when a black Jeep blocked me and my friend Casey on a small bridge. The driver's raspy smoker's voice called out for us to come closer. We ran. Another SUV cut us off. Inside were 3 older men offering us bags of candy. We sprinted home with the Jeep chasing us until we made it to my front door. My mum called the police. Hours later, 3 men were arrested inside the same Jeep. Story 6. The Closet One. Halloween night. A little girl told her father someone was in her closet. He brushed it often till he heard shuffling inside. When he yanked the door open, it wasn't a monster. It was the neighbor's teenage son, and in his hands was the little girl's underwear. Later, the father discovered a drilled peephole in her closet door. The boy had been spying on her as she slept. Story 7. The haunted attraction at 20. My friends and I visited a haunted house called Scare House. Journey to the basement. Inside, it was a maze, leading us into a pitch-black cellar. I bumped into someone. I apologized. No answer. Just a cold hand on my shoulder. I screamed and bolted upstairs. My friend found a key and we escaped. But outside, a tall figure in a bloody pig mask followed us block after block. When we finally reached my friend's house, his dad came outside with a pistol. The masked man raised his hands, begging not to be shot, then fled. The haunted house later confirmed they had no employee in a pig mask. Halloween is supposed to be about harmless fun, masks, candy, laughter, but sometimes the masks aren't costumes. Sometimes the horror is real. Sleep well tonight, and remember, you never really know who's behind the mask.